So I might have just made a huge mistake. I'm not really sure. It really doesn't matter what I think, though, because this is the internet. That means others get to judge. So buying gold coins is pretty straightforward. It's easy to find popular coins. It's easy to sell them. And I suppose it's also pretty easy to drift off into some random stuff too. But the modern bullion is all pretty straightforward. No real surprises. It's the numismatic stuff that starts to get murky. What I find valuable, maybe somebody else doesn't, and vice versa, but typically with modern collectible gold, you at least know what you're getting into. A lot of those collectible pieces are also parts of series, so any question about popularity, any question about potential value, it's typically answered after the first release sells out. So most of what you'll run into is pretty safe. If you're just getting into gold, you can grab series coins without much risk. At the end of the day, 1 ounce of gold is still 1 ounce of gold, whether it's popular or not. You can still sell it for the metal content. Even if you really like something like The Simpsons, you're willing to pay a 20% premium for a Homer Simpson gold coin, well, there's probably another person out there who likes The Simpsons as much as you do, or at least finds it funny that they would stamp Homer Simpson on a gold coin. So this is where my problem starts. I'm just not really into The Simpsons. If I'm going to pick who's on my coin, it's not going to be a cartoon character. Might be a Roman emperor, though. I'm into that. I'm interested in ancient civilizations. I like Greek and Roman art and architecture, like Stoicism. And I like the idea of what gold was at the time. So I've been looking at ancient coins, and I've wanted an Aureus for really a long time, but I've just never seriously considered buying one because of the price. Until now. This is just crazy for so many reasons, but this is probably the most excited about a gold coin as I've been in, well, we'll say a long time, maybe ever, I don't know. But this is a Marcus Aurelius Aureus. It's exactly what I wanted. Maybe there are a few things that were off. I'll get into that. But this coin was struck under Antoninus Pius in 152 or 153 AD. That's 8 years before he became emperor. That's one of the reasons that I was able to get this coin a little bit cheaper. He doesn't have a laurel wreath, no epic beard in this one. This is the younger Marcus Aurelius when he was heir to the throne. And then on the reverse, well, this is Roma. She's in battle dress and she's holding a victory. So Roma would be similar to Athena in Greek mythology. Antoninus Pius and Marcus Aurelius, they were both pretty modest guys, but this is a little bit of a war flex. You didn't mess with Rome at the time. So I won't go too far into the monetary system at the time. Most people are either familiar with Roman coins, or at least they're aware that Romans used gold and silver coins. They also used copper and the alloys, brass and bronze. I'm not going to go too far into that. Like I said, I wanted an Aureus, and I've been searching specifically for Marcus Aurelius, philosopher king, last emperor of the Pax Romana. That's what I wanted, but I just wasn't sure if I could find one I could afford. And I know from searching there are nicer Marcus Aurelius coins in the world, but this one felt like a really good compromise. I say compromise because the prices can just get out of control. Ancient coins are crazy. I don't even know all the things that I don't know, and I've been researching it for a while. I started pretty heavily looking into these coins, but that's all it was. I was looking at photos, I was watching the videos, and it's really hard if you can't see the coins in person. It's really hard to understand the whole category. I have picked up some silver tetradrachms. They've been on the channel before. I have some bronze Macedonian coins, but I shopped around for a year before finally making a significant purchase. I bought an Athenian owl tetradrachm, and these will run between $650 and, well, you can spend whatever you want, but call it $1,600. This one was on the higher side of that range, and you're definitely not buying the metal content when you buy an ancient coin. Now, I'm jumping around a little bit because this is a huge category. There's a lot to learn with ancient coins, and that means there are a lot of ways to lose money, but I'm going to focus in on the Aureus here. This coin, this is the gold coin of ancient Rome. And during the Roman Empire, this would have been worth 25 denarii. So that would have been about a month's wage for most Romans, far more than most would have just sitting around. Now, they weren't particularly rare, even though at the time you probably wouldn't have one, but you can still find them pretty easily today. You can find them in pretty good shape also because they were expensive then and they're expensive now. At no point was someone throwing these in a coin purse heading to the local pub. So A lot of them were pretty well preserved. It's just amazing to see the detail on this coin considering it's 1850 years old. The problem with buying these coins is the price. One of the reasons that you can still get a hold of them today is that they start at about $3,500 and they only go up. We're talking about a small coin here. The gold content is only about 7 grams, so that's less than a quarter ounce of gold. If you looked at the diameter, it'd be about 19 millimeters. A quarter ounce American gold eagle is 22 millimeters. A 1 ounce gold eagle is 32 millimeters. So it'd be pretty easy to miss the value in a coin like this. The high relief is very impressive. The detail's pretty amazing, but it's small. So if you're curious just how you get a hold of a coin like this, well, it's a little bit different than buying modern bullion. They have specialized places to buy. So you can find them at auction houses or marketplace sites or online retailers. Now, I won't go into details here because I'm going to forget some, but I'll just name a few. The places that I watch CNG Coins, Heritage Auctions, MA Shops, V Coins, and a few others. I'll probably list them in the description because I'm having trouble even coming up with all of them right now. Now, honestly, I'm not the best person to tell you where to go. Those are just the options that are top of mind for me. There are lots of them. You can also go to the big online dealers. AppMex even has a whole section for ancient coins. I'll get into that in a minute. I think the biggest question on these coins, though, is whether or not they're a good investment, whether they hold their value, whether they appreciate, and then how to value them in the first place. There's also questions of how to buy them, how to sell them, and I think you can figure that part out with a little bit of trial and error, but I don't recommend buying these at all as an investment without really knowing the space. That's the hard part. If you want to learn about the coins, I would say go check out Classical Numismatics. He's got a channel on YouTube. He's fantastic. He knows way more than I do. But if you want to get into the buying and selling aspect, unfortunately, there's a little bit of that you just have to learn by doing it. And I have found that there are a lot of other people doing that same thing. They're learning it by doing it, and that's a nice way of saying that you aren't always dealing with pros. As for the value over time, well, they aren't making more of them, so that value will most likely continue to just go up and up. The trick is going to be finding buyers. It's going to be easier to buy these coins than it is to sell them because you have to prove the value of what you have. Now, you can have the coins graded. That's another thing. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. But telling somebody over the internet that your 7 grams of gold is worth $5,000, that's a little bit of a tough sell. So having these coins graded from NGC, that's going to help you out. The problem here is that you take a coin that maybe you're interested in having because of its history. Somebody owned this coin more than 1,800 years ago. That owl, someone owned that more than 2,400 years ago. Well, there's a novelty of handling that same coin. It's just pretty cool. What happens when you send it to NGC, though, is they inspect it. They tell you, yeah, this looks legit, but then they lock it behind a cheap plastic slab. And to me, that just kind of kills the excitement. As you can see, I haven't busted this one out of the slab yet. Don't worry, that's coming. Like I said, this is a small coin, 7 grams of gold. There's a real chance of me losing it. So I'm having a case made, and as soon as that arrives, my plan is to break it out like I did with the owl and put myself on the receiving end of the full fury of like 8 or 9 people. So I should probably mention what I paid for this coin. I spent about $5,000, and that's the ballpark of what I was bidding on for some other auctions that I missed out on in the last minutes. Now, I actually went back and found this coin. I could see that it sold for $4,300 at a prior auction about a year ago, a little more, and that was prior to it being graded. So you could say that I lost about $750 there. The auction at the time was estimating that this coin would go for about $500 more than it did. So it wasn't that bad. The prior buyer got a better deal than I did, and I'm okay with that. This coin has a flaw that brings the value down a little bit. You can see at the bottom of the coin, it has what looks like a dent. Well, it's probably likely that someone at some point carved off a little bit of the metal content. At 6.87 grams of gold, it's a little bit lighter than the coins at the time of minting. It's about exactly what they were a few emperors after Marcus Aurelius. So somebody might have clipped it for nefarious reasons. They just wanted a little bit more gold on the side, or maybe just to bring it down to balance it out to what some of the other coins were a little bit later. But the auction listed edge filing, and that can mean a lot of things. Somebody could have used it in jewelry. They could have just screwed it up, maybe then tried to file down those marks. Somebody could have filed or clipped away metal content, like I mentioned, or somebody could have tried to mask a fake. And now that I have the coin, I can clearly see the flow lines that are created in the minting process. I know that this is an authentic coin, but at the time of the auction, I wouldn't have been so sure. And I know it's authentic more because I've had two parties verify it, NGC and the prior buyer. They know a lot more than I do. Now, what I wanted more than anything was an authentic Aureus, and I probably didn't know enough at the time to be able to call that on my own. I also wanted one from the time of the Pax Romana, specifically Marcus Aurelius, if I could find one. So I definitely wouldn't say the money was not important, because it took a full year to finally get that price range just past my gag reflex, but paying $5,000 for something that I know is authentic is better to me than paying $4,300 or $4,500 on a gamble. It also saved the time and expense of sending something off to NGC and waiting for it to come back. So I feel like I'm just scratching the surface of this topic because it's a wide topic. We're going to call this an opener, I guess, and I've probably covered enough for that. Now, generally speaking, these probably don't make sense for most buyers. They're expensive, they're difficult to verify, they're hard to sell, but man, they're cool. Now, I wanted a Roman coin. I've wanted one for a long time, and this feels like something that I'm going to hold on to for a really long time. So let's call it good there. You know we're going to be coming back to this when I bust it out of the slab, make a few people angry, but let us know what you think. Is this a horrible mistake, or maybe not? If you're interested in ancient coins, let us know. And then while you're in the comments, be sure to hit the like button if you found any of this interesting. Be sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on if you'd like to see more on the topic. And if you're still here, thanks again for watching. I always appreciate your time. Take care.